Now, maybe if their concept would be spoken by the majority lingua franca, that is correct. But to be more accurate, then let's use the term lingua franca. In the Philippines, Tagalog is the lingua franca. Now, let's proceed. It has nonverbal aspects. Verbal communication has nonverbal aspects, meaning when we say something, okay, spoken, the nonverbal aspect of the word would be the voice, the tone, the pitch, the volume, the accent. That will be the nonverbal aspect of the spoken word. If it's written, for example, the word is hello, then HELLO, the nonverbal aspect, are all the letters capitalized or is it in small letters? How is the font style or what is the font style used? What's the thickness of each letter or font style used? Is it italicized, underlined, in bold? So all of these are nonverbal aspects. Okay. Nonverbal communication, just a quick recap, we have 8 types for our discussion. Facial expressions, visual, color, height, weight, volume. Chronemics would be for time, use of time, punctuality. It could be about technical time, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30 a.m. or p.m. It could also be morning, night. It could be season, winter, summer, fall. Okay. Paralinguistics, vocal cues or parang linguistics, like seemingly like words but not really words. So like sighing, coughing, okay. Proxemics is another term for use of space. Okay, when we talk about proxemics, if somebody is too near to us, then we could maybe say that that person with a physical distance that's near to us is with an intimate relationship to us or a close relationship to us. But if the physical distance of two people talking is a bit big, then we could consider or we could say that the relationship between these two people are not that close. So the use of space whenever people are talking or conversing also conveys a certain meaning or a relationship. Okay, but of course in this time of pandemic, supposedly we really do physical distancing. Okay, emblems would be the use of hand gestures and head movements. Okay, so for example, we want to say okay, then it's not enough that we utter the word okay. We also use a hand gesture like a thumbs up sign. Objectics or object language would mean the accessories or the clothing that people would be using. Okay, and then haptics or tactile is another term for touch. Nonverbal communication does not use words to generate meaning. Facial expressions considered to be the only universal nonverbal language type. Okay, and it has several types. So we have here 8. And then for this slide, we are now going to move on to flow of information, the second basis for our types of communication. For flow of communication, we have 5. We have upward, downward, horizontal, vertical, diagonal. So what are these all about? So from the term upward communication, okay, when we talk about upward, from subordinate to supervisor. So for example, when we talk about upward communication from faculty member to dean. Okay, another type of upward communication, we have student to faculty member, student to dean. So that would be upward communication. When we talk about downward communication, the opposite of upward communication, from dean to faculty or dean to students or faculty to students, downward communication. When we talk about horizontal communication, so it means of the same level. So when students communicate with their fellow students, that is horizontal communication. If the dean would be communicating, the dean of College of Arts and Science would be communicating to the dean of Maritime, then that would be horizontal because they have the same rank. Okay. Next, we have vertical. When we talk about vertical communication, it's a combination of the upward and the downward communication. Okay, so meaning there is an an exchange of communication between the subordinate and the supervisor. And then when we talk about diagonal communication, this is, for example, the dean of maritime would have a request to ask from a faculty of CAS. So it's now diagonal. Or the faculty of CAS would like to request something from the dean of, let's say, computer science. So from lower rank and then to an upper rank, but to a different department. Okay, so I hope that's clear. Next, we have purpose or style, the third basis of our types of communication. So we have only 2. It could be formal or informal. Now, the purpose or style, if it's going to be formal, then we could say that it could be an academic setting, or it could be a professional setting. So the way we communicate, we have to know what purpose, what style we have to use that is appropriate to a certain context. So for example, you're in a church gathering, also it has to be a formal type of communication. Well, depending upon the culture that you have, but there's still a sense of formality. When we talk about informal, where we're with our friends or family, then we could be using an informal tone or style of communication. For the last basis of communication, we have context or level. We have 6 types. We talk about intrapersonal, interpersonal, public, organizational, developmental, and mass. Okay, for under interpersonal, we have dyadic and small group. Now, let's focus on what intrapersonal is. When we talk about intra, it's communicating with oneself. Okay, there's only one person, and that person is communicating with himself or herself. Okay, so when we talk about intrapersonal, we reflect, we meditate, we try to maybe think of what has happened all throughout the day, or we're going to decide upon something. So we're trying to communicate with ourselves. There are 2 types of intrapersonal communication. Okay, it could be external, meaning we talk to ourselves out loud, or we write it on a journal. So when we talk about external intrapersonal communication, others could see it or sense it. Okay, that's why sometimes it's not safe to do intrapersonal, external, or talking to oneself aloud in public because others may see it. Okay, but of course that is okay normal, but we have to do it when it's primarily just us in the room. Or it could be intrapersonal, internal. When we talk about internal, intrapersonal, then nobody can sense it. Meaning, while I'm discussing this, I'm also doing intrapersonal, internal communication, assessing if my voice, volume, rate of speaking is acceptable. Okay. How about interpersonal? So for intrapersonal, talking with oneself, only one person is involved. Interpersonal would mean that there would be 2, okay, people involved or more. So when we talk about interpersonal, it could be dyadic from the term itself, dyad, 2 people are involved, or it could be small group. When we talk about small group, it could be 3 to 15 people. Now, some textbooks, they would say 3 to 8, and then 8 would be the ideal number, they say, but of course it's going to be relative depending on the situation. But if we're going to put a number to it for definition purposes, small group would be composed of 3 people to 15 people. So more than 15 people, we now consider that as public communication. Okay, so public communication when we're in a classroom, when we're delivering a speech, so public communication. We talk about organizational communication. It's usually the type of communication that we do within an organization, and we follow a certain hierarchy, okay, or a structure. So when we're part of an organization such as MCL, then we know that there is an organizational hierarchy that we have to respect and we have to follow. So the way we communicate will also depend on the type of organizational structure.